What? 599 damage? Welcome hunters, in this title update 2 video I'm breaking down the updated Insect Glaive build, so you know exactly what armor pieces and decorations to equip to hit these numbers yourself. With all the updates, weapons haven't really changed. Crafting an Archean weapon with attack infusion pots 3 times is the best way to go. Looking on reinforcement bonuses, the best way to go actually is still 3 times attack boost and 2 times sharpness boost. This is more catered not to the speedrunners but more normal play, which really helps within hunts to keep your sharpness up. If you want to have more of a speed run, then normally you see about 5 times attack boost or 4 times attack boost and 1 sharpness boost. Really depends on your preference. Doesn't make that much of a difference. Basically, you need to have a good weapon for every element and use that for the specific monster you're fighting. Tier 8 5-star monsters, that's the way to go. So if we're looking at the new weapons that came out for Lagiagras and Synergies, to be honest, they don't really change the meta too much. If you're looking at solely Archean weapons, they still come out of top. Lagiagras 1 is actually a good weapon for Thunder, but to be honest, Archean is still the way to go. Unless you really want to suffer something different, but I don't understand why you go with a lesser weapon. And having layer weapons now, you can just layer it. If you like the skin, you can just layer it over it. Kinsects hasn't really changed too much for me. Arc Maiden is still one of the best to have with blunt damage and harvest extract and fast charge, which is just very good overall. You can also switch to fiddle bricks if you want to go towards severing damage, but it actually has the same stats. One thing I see myself do a little bit more, and which I recommend if you are a little bit more experienced, is choosing the Whisper Vesp. And why the Whisper Vesp has attack boost powder, so give you a little bit of an attack boost and more damage. It still has fast charge, doesn't have harvest extract, but what it has is speed, right? It's way quicker than the Arc Maiden, for instance. So if you're looking at the speed difference, it's huge. And especially when calling your insect and having it return to you that much faster, it can really help. So if you're a little bit more experience getting all the extracts really quickly, you can try out the Whisper Vesp for that extra speed. It really helps. If you just want to have a laid back time, Arc Maiden or the Fiddle Bricks, just ones I would recommend. So this is an updated build basically to fight off Lagiagras and Synergies, and it's a good build to aim for. And while it mathematically is not the hardest hitting build, it is a build that has resistances in them which allow you to basically survive new monsters. Because I personally found that if you do not have any resistances on, especially the tier 8 5-star versions, you're just gonna die. It doesn't. You need resistances. That's just, you need to build defenses against that. It's just not, oh, let's just go in as a glass cannon and kill these. Doesn't really work. So for this, we got a Numinous Crown B, the Raised Sand Mail Y, the Raised Sand Braces Y, and the Raised Sand Coil Y, with the Iceshard Cliffs, the B version. Finish it up with the Counter Charm and the Corrupted Mantle. Going into the decorations, I always go for my weapon decorations: Critical Jewel 2, Critical Jewel 3, and Flight Expert Jewel. For the rest, I'll go for Challenger Jewel 3, Mighty Jewel 2, and 2 Thunder Rest Jewels, and you can exchange that for something else. And then you can go for your Challenger Jewel 3 and your Chain Jewel 3 for that extra level of burst. I basically always want to run with 1 level of earplugs because I just basically hate roars. And if you all have all your extracts, you basically have level 2 earplugs, which you won't have most of the time, but roars are less of a pain to deal with. So that's why I have always 1 level of earplugs in. So going through the skills, we have Critical Boost level 5, Critical Eye level 1, Airborne level 1, Agitator level 5, Latent Power level 5, Counter Strike level 3, Maximum Mind level 3, Thunder Resistance level 3, Evade Extender, Burst level 1, Recovery Speed, and Earplugs. We do have the Radau Thunderous Roar, which really gives us Lord of Soul, so it gives us the Guts Tenacity, which is just a really good skill overall to have. So this build makes you and do a lot of damage and also allow you to survive the hard fights. The only thing about this build, I would say that you might struggle with Synergies on higher levels, especially because you actually want, if you can, go for bleed resistance level 3, because you just don't want to get any bleeds. I would say if you're having trouble with that, go with remove the Mighty Jewel level 2, and you can just remove that to get level 3 bleeding resist. So I used this build for a very long time. It's really good, and I think that most people whoever get to this point will just basically shred to most of the monsters. If we're looking at the overall attack, I never really go in towards the math of these builds and the attack math. I know that some people do, but to be honest, I have even hard time to understand that. I know the math is, I check these builds, I know what the rough roll is, so I know this build is very likely up there. There are a lot of variations of builds that only have a little bit of difference within attacks, and unless you're really speedrunning, which most people are not doing and most people just want to have fun playing the game, this build is maybe minus 5% overall attack, but it does give you the survivability, and I give survivability over attack unless you're speedrunning, but then you probably don't need my video. Let's go into the second armor set. So this armor set I thought didn't really do anything until I really gave it a decent try. I did a lot of hunts with it, and to be honest, this set is ridiculous. So it does use the Lagiagros Helm B, the Numerous Shroud B, the Gore's Fan Bases B, Lagiagros Coil B, and the Gold Greaves. Finishing it off with the Exploited Charm and the Corrupted Mantle as always. So this is a really build that goes into weakness exploit. So going into the overall decorations, I've got Tender Jewel, Counter Jewel, Tune Resistance, another Tenderize for that weakness exploit, 2 more counters for that Counter Strike level 3, Earplugs of course, we need that. And here I used a level 1 gem in a level 2 slot because I just want to have that extra resistance. I want to have the 28 in this build, 28 resistances against thunder, just really helps with laggy. Another Thunder S, a Chain Jewel for that burst, and then 2 Sane Jewels for that antivirus. The damage you output with this build is just ridiculous. Hitting weak parts of the monster just can create massive crits. The Rising Spiral Slashes have most of the time between 150 to 100 plus damage if you have all your buffs on. It just does a lot of damage. Especially when you're in the early part of the fight, when you have all your buffs, including your Corrupted Mantle. Things have to align a little bit because you need to get hit for Counter Strike. You need to make sure you have your maximum might up. So there are some things that need to be up to really hit that's really high damage numbers, but it's not really that difficult to do. It's just a fun overall build, does a lot of damage very quickly, and it plays really well. Having that extra defense as well is really cool. You do miss guts, but that is a trade-off for the damage you do. You have the Azure Bolt from the Lagiagros set, which is fine. It does a little bit of extra damage. It's nothing to write home about, but extra damage. Overall fun build to play, and really I look forward how this matches up to Arc Tempered Uduna, who's coming out in 2 weeks. New armor, ridiculous damage that just melts monsters. If you find this helpful, drop a like and subscribe for more MonsterHunter Wilds content. Got any question or your own crazy Title Update 2 builds? Post them in the comments below. I love to see what you're running. And as always, stay sharp, happy hunting.